Welcome, guys, to another episode of Ops Unfiltered. Today we have some actually longtime partners in the studio with us at the Luminous HQ in Utah. What's up, guys? It's TrackStar.
It's great to be here. I'm Daniel, one of the co-founders of TrackStar.
And Jeremy, the other co-founder, the non-technical one. Daniel does all the cool stuff with actually building our product and API.
Okay, so what is TrackStar?
So TrackStar is a universal API for 3PLs and warehouse management systems. And as you all know very, very well, there's hundreds, thousands of different 3PLs and warehouse systems that shippers, merchants, brands, you name it, are using to power the warehouses that are holding all their goods. And we make it really easy to integrate into all of them. So instead of folks like you having to go build hundreds of one-off integrations into all of them, you can just hit us once and have all these integrations magically.
Why did you guys start TrackStar?
Because of you. Because of you.
So wait, how do we meet?
We met through a mutual friend, classic.
Yeah.
We were actually in the middle of Y Combinator.
I think you guys were in the middle of that.
We were in the middle
or towards the end. We knew we weren't going to build our original product. It wasn't a hair on fire, big enough pain for companies. And we just heard this recurring theme. It's if you're a software company trying to build operational or supply chain tech, super hard to build WMS integrations and connectivity, which prevents people from building really cool technology in the space.
Was that just like word on the street, or how did you, because yes, 100%. It's a pain point there.
Well, the origin story is Daniel was an early product manager at Datadog, and the two of us came together and had this insight. There should be a Datadog for e-commerce. There should be technology that helps brand operators catch issues across their stack. We were very front-end focused. Think broken checkout flows, leaked discount codes, site speed problems. But what ended up happening is all of our customers who were brands at the time said, hey, my front end actually works pretty well. Shopify's a great tool. Where I really struggle is monitoring my operations. And we're like, okay, what do you want us to do? And we worked with a few dozen customers, and they're like, can you go integrate with our WMS and catch issues across our supply chain? We went to the first customer, what WMS are you on? We heard system A. Next customer, system B, system C, system D. I think we asked like 30-something people and heard 25 unique systems.
Wow.
And we're like, we're not going to go build 25 integrations to support each one of you. We'll never be able to get this off the ground. Daniel looked up, Googled, is there a universal API for WMS? Nothing existed. And he actually joked like, someone should build this product. Huge pain point, really hard problem to solve. It won't be us. Fast forward, we're going through Y Combinator, and we realized we should be running towards hard problems. The monitoring product wasn't, like I said, a hair on fire problem. Pivoted, built a universal API for WMS. You're one of our first, if not our first customer, actually, and the rest is history.
The first.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you my perspective.
Yeah, your side.
My perspective of TrackStar is this. Luminous, we're an operating system for brands. So we're the backend system of record. So think purchasing, inventory, all that boring stuff. Okay, so modern brands, 70% of them outsource their fulfillment to a 3PL. So what that turned into is like, okay, we say we service modern brands, but like we're not going to build a WMS integration for similar problem. We thought like, we're not going to build a WMS integration for every single new brand that signs up. That's ridiculous. So it basically closed off this entire market for us through our friend. He told me, he's like, oh, there's these guys, they're going to build a one-to-many WMS, like an one-size-fits-all API into WMSs. And I was like, oh my God, that will open up like this massive market for us. And it's one of those few cases where it actually worked out.
Yeah.
Like 9 times out of 10, this stuff doesn't work.
Yeah.
It was a scary decision because I remember it was that December before. How many deals did we turn away because they're like, hey, I need an integration to extensive. I need integration to X.
And a custom WMS.
And my take has always been like, we're not an integration company. We're not going to spend time doing that.
Yeah.
Because there's always a one-to-many somebody that does it. There's an iPass somewhere that you can pay.
Yeah.
And so we just said, no. And then you guys came around and it was expensive. You guys charged us so much.
We had to.
But
we had to prove that someone was willing to pay money. That's YC's fault. Blame YC.
Internally, we had so many discussions around like, this is going to pivot our company completely. Our product's not built around this idea that there exists a one-to-many. So we have to pivot how we are selling, what we're building. And it was so scary at the time.
I don't think we would have pivoted if it weren't for you guys. Really? That's my opinion. Like, I don't think, like, I remember getting off the call and you were so excited. Jared was like, oh my God, I can't, like, he's like, I feel like I'm dreaming. Like, after that call, Jeremy and I looked at each other and we're like, all right, like we have our customer. Like that's how I feel. Like
one of the analogies we give is we always say we're building the Plaid for supply chain data. But the thing we always talked about is Plaid had this amazing early customer in Venmo. Like they built together and grew together and became two powerhouse companies together. And like in many respects, you are our Venmo, right? Like we want you guys to be this huge, amazing company and you're doing it. And like we love growing together. Like it's funny, we call you our partner, right? Like you are truly, we're partners and we're going to build amazing companies together. But it's awesome to have found our Venmo.
Oh, and at the ground level, we had like 4 customers at the time?
Yeah.
Probably in our first year, we onboarded like 5 people onto TrackStar. I feel like we were so slow.
But
the go-to-market, it took, like, we went from, when I first talked to you guys, it was like, we had between like 5 and 10 customers.
Yeah.
We had just started our go-to-market. And that now we've grown to over 100 customers.
Mm-hmm.
Going to get to hundreds this year. But
yeah, that's
the origin. I mean,
a big part of it though was you guys. It was like, we think that there's a segment of the market that is unlocked when WMS, and it's not even a thing. Like we know we can integrate into all these WMSs. It just opens up this massive market.
Yeah, to think we onboard people right now, they'll have like 5 WMSs, internal fulfillment, and they're connected into everything in data syncing like in 24 hours. Like it's mind blowing right now.
That's awesome.
It's the dream. That's what we want to hear, right?
Yeah. Like we want it to be simple, but not simplistic. Like that's our product. It appears very simple, but behind the scenes, it's not simple at all.
Behind the scenes, we've talked a little about the type of companies that we are. And I like to think of ourselves as we're more like frugal, realistic, VC-funded companies. Can you speak to that a little bit? 2021, 2020 companies, like that frothy time versus modern VC-backed companies. What do you think is the main difference?
We talked about it earlier where we want to build a long-term sustainable business. And there's 2 ways to go about it, right? We've both raised capital. You can raise a lot of capital, make a moonshot bet, and need to be $1 billion company in X number of years or you don't exist. Or you can raise more modest amounts of capital, build really long-term sustainable businesses, and make sure your company is enduring and lasts forever. And both of us fall into that latter bucket where we want to make sure for you guys, you support your brands and merchants in perpetuity and they know you're going to be around forever. And for us as a core infrastructure product, we can't just go away tomorrow. Yeah. And we want to make sure that we build a prudent, profitable, sound business. Like Daniel and I will have TrackStar will be profitable this calendar year. And it just makes us confident we can support you guys forever.
I think that's the biggest commentary. Like we're both similar size companies. We've both said the same thing. Like we're both gearing towards profitability. That's the key right there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like 3 to 5 years ago, like nobody would be going for profitability.
It wasn't cool.
Like that wasn't cool.
Mm-hmm.
But what's also exciting is I think people view it as a trade-off. If you're going to be profitable, it means you won't grow as fast. And yeah, the more money you spend, you should theoretically be growing faster. But you guys are a great testament, and we feel the same way. Is you're growing incredibly fast. Like you plan to more than double this year, is my understanding.
Right.
While also driving towards profitability.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. We'll see.
Do you have customers that not necessarily want you to be profitable, but are more, do they ask you about your business and runway, or do you have customers that ask about that?
Yeah, absolutely. The more we go up market, we have people asking for a P&L. Like, so because the biggest concern for them is like, I don't care that you can do everything we need to do. It's like, are you going to go out of business in 3 years?
Well, I think even the more common risk, and what we see in e-commerce a lot, is a lot of companies start up, they get to about $5 to $10 million in revenue, and they sell to QuickBooks or they sell off to zero. So there's just there's a story of companies selling way too early. And I think that's why there's not a great solution in place, because the founders are just eager to exit, get their money, and leave. And there's just there's a huge graveyard of companies.
That's why we're so aligned with you guys, because we say this all the time. We just want to build a great company for the next 10, 20 years. Because like we can list off probably like 5 people who have started, got to 5 to 20 million ARR, just they get acquired. Like there's Bright Pearl, Trade Gecko, Locate, Scubana, 3PL Central, there's so many different ones that it's the same story. But the one who's going to take over the market from NetSuite, the one who's going to kick NetSuite in the balls, is the one who's just willing to build for 20 years and just say
grind
no
it out.
To it. I don't care. We don't want to get acquired.
Yeah, grind it out.
I'm curious what makes you guys want to build with such a long-term view. I think like in my mindset and Daniel's, I had this realization. If TrackStar wasn't going to succeed, and luckily enough, we've actually crossed that like binary threshold where we're going to succeed. Or if TrackStar was a $1 billion company, in either scenario, the next thing I would do is start another company. And if like that's my goal where I'm just going to keep starting companies, it means I love the journey and I should just focus on building the company I love building today with cool customers like you guys. But what motivates you all to want to build this long-term 10, 15-year business in the ERP space?
Well, I'll go first, but a couple things. First off, nowadays, that itch to like start a new company, if you're going to be around for 20 years, you're going to be a multi-SKU product. Like you're going to build another SKU that you'll sell. And that should, I don't know, that'll satisfy that itch. This is my end goal. I want a merchant, when they're crushing it, when they're going from 10 to 100 million, it's just the way we exist in the market is, oh, you're going to 100 million, you need to use Luminous. It's like, oh, what's Luminous? It takes care of all of your backend operations. Like, I just want that. That's what I want.
Yeah, for me, it's the same. Even coming from my last company, getting to the end was so unfulfilling. At the end of the day, you would look back after that acquisition and you'd be like, those years were incredible. That journey, the struggle, it sucks at times, it's miserable at times, but it's fulfilling. Like, and it's enjoyable. And being able to stick at something for the next 10 to 20 years and build a company that is known by everybody, that it's, hey, you use Luminous when you get to a certain stage. That sounds amazing. Like, who cares about the money? Like, building something that everybody knows, I think is way more fulfilling.
Think about what Shopify has been able to do with the front end of commerce. It totally transformed it. Like, it's honestly like sensational. Nobody's really done well. Oracle, NetSuite, like they did do that in the back end, but nobody's really done an updated version of that. 30 years later, 20 years later. I'm really excited I want to do that to the back end of commerce.
Yeah, it's super exciting. Are you guys publicly talking about the NetSuite migration or?
Oh yeah. We'll talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, what's it like getting that first customer off NetSuite? Again,
as we slowly start going up market, the more migrations that we get under our belt, the more confident we are. So for example, Fathead, this is a customer that we're getting off of NetSuite right now. It's really caused a paradigm shift in the organization. How well some of these upmarket customers have been going. I mean, we're talking the difference between like a $6,000 contract and then call it, I don't know, like a $50K yearly contract. Yeah. That's a 6 times multiple on the down market deal versus the more up market deals. But the customer who's paying us $50,000 a year is just the pain that we solve. They immediately recognize what we're doing. They're so much happier. They have way less requests. We're just excited to document it and put it everywhere and get more customers like that.
And a side topic, unlike NetSuite is so broad and does so much. To say it's like a platform for e-commerce or retail companies is like a little not true. It's more like a base platform that you can hire a 6-figure engineer to then build integrations for. And so everybody uses NetSuite very differently. And so you'll go into 3 different customers. One's using the CRM, one's using accounting, and one's using, purchasing. And so every NetSuite customer tends to be very different between each other, but very doable.
One thing I want to talk about is focus, like product focus, because we've been crazy focused. Like all we've done up until very, very recently are WMS and 3PL integrations. Like that's it. We spent 2 years basically just doing that. And I think we probably have the largest library on the planet, but
confidently.
We've said no to like a million other little things that could have distracted us, and we could have started, and we've only just started to branch out into a new thing that we could talk about, but like we've stayed so focused. And I'm curious for you how you've stayed focused in an area where it can get so broad so quickly.
Brendan's the king of saying no. Tell us what we said no to. Like we had like very specific temptations to build specific tools.
Yeah,
I can't think of specifics right now.
Oh, an OMS. So we started in the warehouse. We started with brands that they did their own fulfillment. They owned their own warehouse. So a big temptation early on was, do we rebuild ShipStation, basically? And no, like it was the same thing. Like we had to identify early on where is the gap actually? Is it? And when we asked those hard questions, it wasn't the question of where's the money. It was where's the gap in between QuickBooks and NetSuite.
Mhm.
And that's in tech. So the money isn't necessarily going to be there. So we ignored an OMS. I mean, we've thought about building a general ledger.
Deeper in the WMS.
Yeah, go really deep in WMS.
General ledger is a big one. We just said, no, we're not going that direction.
Brendan, he always goes the route of like, okay, where can we just plug into somebody so we don't have to build that entire ecosystem?
I think maybe something we have in common is when you don't raise a lot of money, it forces you to really focus in on something.
Yeah.
I think the problem a lot of companies do is they go raise $20 million and it's like, we can kind of do everything.
Yeah, we can do an EDI division and we can do a OMS division and then we can have this division.
We can hire integration engineers.
Oh, yeah. You do too many things where when you only have a fixed income, it feels dumb because you're like, we could go so much faster. We could build so much quicker. But what I feel ends up happening is you go way quicker into the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And so when you're finite, when you have to really choose what's the number one priority, you focus and you spend time on it.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what have you guys said no to?
Well, I think really quick, that goes along with why YC's advice was actually raise less money. Take the lower dollar amount at the lower valuation, and it forces you to stay focused. So
there's something to be said about like just incrementally raising little bits as a time as the company evolves. You have to give the company and all of your departments space to actually grow into something new.
Yeah.
When you just jam $30 million into it, it's just like complete chaos.
Yeah, if we had raised too much capital, we would have 10 WMS integrations, 10 OMS, 10 TMS, and then TMS itself is its own crazy world with broker, shipper, carrier, freight forwarder, TMS. But that's to answer your question, though, like that's somewhere where we've said no, where I actually would have a harder time saying no. I'm like, if someone's willing to pay us a bunch of money, we should say yes. Yeah. But Daniel, with his product manager background and Datadog experience, he's like, no, we have to stay focused. And it's a great skill set I've learned as well. But we've had so many customers in the early days be like, you're solving a burning problem for WMS, but my integration pain point is actually shipper TMS. Can you go build this? And I think it's part of the long-term story where we're going to expand and build universal APIs for the entire supply chain eventually. But you need to do that at the right moment. You have to sequence that without because when you guys are growing incredibly quickly, I feel like what's cool is, I feel like every day you're adding a connection, but also every week you're asking for a new WMS integration. And the thing we want to avoid is you say, hey, can you build us this WMS integration so we can onboard this customer? And we tell you no, because we're building a TMS integration.
Yeah.
That's very counter to the ethos of we want to make sure we're super disciplined and we can support you. And like, it's weird to say we are the best at WMS integrations in the world, or Daniel and the engineering team are the best at it.
I have two stories real quick. One, I've got Heidi, one of our customer support reps. She messaged in there. She's like, hey, when's this going to be done? And I'm like, it's their partner. We can't really ask them that. But you guys responded and you're like, it should be 2 weeks. I'm like, what?
No, you could always ask.
I know.
That's so funny.
It's just this weird thing where it's a brand new WMS connection where I expect it to take 6 to 8 weeks would be probably acceptable.
Oh yeah, no.
And it's like you guys turn around and you're like, 2 weeks, easy.
We find like seeing is believing with people using our API, and you guys know and we have high trust that we're going to build things quickly. With some larger software companies, sometimes they'll be like, what's your roadmap? Are these 4 systems on it? Yeah. And I'll respond with, our roadmap is when you're a customer, we will prioritize and build it. And they're like, yeah, but what will that take you? 6 months? And we're like, no. But there's this real mental block where they're like, no, this hasn't been done this way before, partially because no one specialized in this. They think it's going to be 6 months. And we have to really explain, like, no, I promise. Then they work with us and they're like, light bulb clicks and they're like, oh my God, you guys are incredible. You know what you're doing. And it's specialization and focus is what it comes down to.
There's a specific story I have real fast. Actually, it was right around the time we started really blowing up with connections with you guys. We had a choice. So Brendan and I we were thinking, like, do we build something with shipping? Do we build an OMS, basically? Mm-hmm. And we had a partner in New York, actually, that we were in deep negotiations with, where they were going to pay us like $25,000 a month to build an OMS, and they were going to onboard all of their customers. Yeah. I am so glad we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Because we would have, we would still be rebuilding ShipStation right now. And like, sure, we'd have shipping revenue, but we wouldn't be solving the needs of modern commerce. At least I don't think so.
I've always been impressed with how focused you are. Sometimes I will get into the channel and like, this is totally a WMS, guys.
I I've said no to you
The-
plenty of times. Yeah,
you see right through it.
The
Yeah.
funniest part though is I'll be like I'm more like, yeah, I can kind of see the argument, and Daniel's like, it's not a WMS.
we built a couple for you that I'm like, these are not quite it. But like, I'm like, like there's a couple I'm like, you know what? It's close enough. Like they're great. It actually doesn't seem like it's that big of a pain. Well, let's just add it. Like,
part of that's though, like it's fun. Like this conversation alone was like chopping it up with friends, which is really nice. But part of it's you're such a good partner for us that when there's an off request and we can build it quickly, we want to help you guys. Like our goal is to see you grow, and within reason, right? Like we want to see you grow no matter what. But if something's simple for us to do, we always want to make sure we can support you all, especially if there's an argument to be made that it's close enough to a WMS.
Inventory.
it has inventory.
Yeah, that's the key line. It has inventory.
Yeah.
Which is because I feel like your focus has forced you'll do a really hard integration. That's like SFTP and some nasty daily sync,
Mhm.
but you'll do that over an easy like OMS because you're focused in we are doing WMS.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like the hard ones. Bring it on, right?
Mhm.
That only accentuates our value prop,
Right.
right? Because you see this, you're like, yeah, thank God we're not doing that, right? And then we have it, and we add it to our library, and it's done. And once it's done, hey, now anyone can use it.
What are signs that you guys are seeing right now where you think you're ready to expand your offering?
It's with 70 systems. I would say we have healthy coverage, right? But there's hundreds of WMS out there, and the stat I like to give, and I might be butchering it a little bit, is like the Shapiro CEO publicly says Shapiro is like 4% of Shopify's revenue. So Shopify's fulfillment volume around Black Friday. He does this every year.
Oh, okay.
And if Shapiro's 4% of Shopify, and Shopify is some subset of the market, because it's not just e-commerce, there's B2B also. We're talking that systems have less than 1% market share on average. We're talking like fractions of percents.
Yeah.
But now that we have 70 systems, when you onboard a new customer, the odds of that connection is actually just fully plug and play, where they go into Luminous and press connect, is really high. Where our connection count, our new build has stayed relatively static or slightly decreasing, where we feel that we have a little bit of room to expand into a new vertical. So it's as you get your library deep enough, it gives us the ability to add a little bit of flex engineering to start expanding.
What's next for TrackStar?
Right now it's WMS, which is the system of record for inventory. The next one is order data. A lot of our existing customers have said there's a lot of sprawl on the order side, whether it's OMS or shopping carts or commerce platforms or marketplaces. And candidly, we used to point to other tools on the market and say, like, go use this tool. Like we're so focused, we do WMS. There's other solutions. You should go use them. And then people kept saying, I've tried that tool, it doesn't work. I've tried that tool, it doesn't work. They don't support read and write full with two-way syncs. They don't do this. They don't do this. And at some point, Daniel and I heard this enough. And I think he looked at me, he's like, we're hearing a real problem. Like we've been pushing it off to stay focused, and we're getting people begging us to build this. And you have that happen enough times, and there's enough cross-selling with existing customers, and it opens up new markets, and we're ready, and we're in the early stages of getting people live on our new order source API.
Can I ask a technical question?
Please.
I think you guys are crushing it for the early technical decisions you made. For your order sync, what are you doing differently so that you don't run into the problem every other one-to-many pulling orders has run into?
Our whole goal is to abstract everything away from you. And what I mean by that is you don't have to think about Shopify rate limits or Shapiro rate limits or pagination things or having to refresh tokens and things like that, or syntax things. We abstract all of that. And so when you call our API, we're not just like a simple pass through. Like when you call, hey, TrackStar, get inventory, we're not just like going and hitting the end WMS and getting that inventory. We are constantly syncing and storing data so that when you call TrackStar get inventory, you're hitting our backend, which is much more resilient and has way better limits than a lot of these systems. And so you're not having to write manual code that says, oh, for this integration, I have to do this try catch and wait and sleep and try 30 seconds later because of rate limits. It's all the same for you. And we go figure out all those rate limits, and we're just constantly syncing data that just works.
Why don't other iPaaS tools do that?
So the reason is we're not iPaaS. Like, it's a broad term, like, integration platform, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of these iPaaS are kind of these like they set up these A to B connections where they sell to a merchant and they say, hey, merchant, go use this iPaaS and you can connect these two tools. But the merchant has to buy it. They have to go set up this mapping. Whereas we are designed for software companies like you, right? Like you are our customer. Your merchants barely know we exist, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe they've seen the, when they go to the little modal, they may see a little TrackStar thing, but that's it. So your merchants don't even know we exist. We're doing all of this behind the scenes, and we're a developer product. Like that's the main difference is we're not a tool that merchants go in and configure integrations. We're an API developer product for Brendan and his team. And so have a developer mindset. And so we've built a product that developers love so that they can add integrations embedded in their product. And that's the main difference between us and traditional iPaaS.
What's been the main difference between selling to Brendans versus selling to like brands?
I don't.
Willingness to pay.
Yeah.
Willingness to pay. Man.
I'm curious how you guys handle this when we were selling to brands. At the time, it was like call it $1 to $75 million brands. Once you get to like, we felt like 50, 75 million, it truly was run as a business. But when we were selling to $10 million brands, they looked at us and they're like, you are impacting me as a founder's bottom line. And they weren't like, I'm a business operator. They viewed it almost as like it almost felt like a B2C sale. Like I was selling to an individual who treated their business as a human versus a business with a budget, right? That was what was really challenging. And then the truth of the matter is what we were originally building wasn't solving a real problem, right? Like when you're trying to sell a monitoring product that people don't really need, it's a lot harder than when you sell a core infrastructure that people are really stoked to use. Finding product market fit has made our life a lot easier.
We didn't have it.
Hard to tell what was like, we had a product that didn't make sense versus now we do. Daniel and I, with all that knowledge, we still say we like selling to software companies more. You get it, right? And software is fluid and growing and evolving. And it's really exciting working with people who love Daniel always says this, we want to build the API we always wanted to use. And we hope you guys feel that way, but that's the gist.
Willingness to pay is a big one, selling to other software companies versus merchants. And then I think it's a very different sell, right? Like we are selling to engineers versus ops people at brands are very different needs, wants, personalities. What is important to them is so different. And so it's just an entirely different beast.
What is the future of TrackStar? Like what's your long-term vision at TrackStar?
We're building the universal API for WMS. There's hundreds of WMS. No one has significant market share, high fragmentation, hard to connect with. That same dynamic exists across the order sources and TMS and yard management systems and freight forwarders. And there's this wealth of data with the movement of goods across the global supply chain that is truly locked away. And we want to build universal APIs for all these different pockets. So we said the line is like, we want to be the digital backbone of global supply chain to help you guys and other companies build really cool tech in the space that has been really hard to do without this infrastructure layer.
Brendan and I talk about this all the time. I feel like the gap when I say the gap in the market, it's like everybody talks, all VCs and founder bros talk about like, there's this visibility problem in the supply chain. And it's all pointing to like different things. But the way I would break it down is like you have a system of record problem, which that's what Luminous is trying to solve. Super fragmented piece of tech. Anyways, and then you have like this like connector problem. And there's been so many tools that have raised money, died, trying to solve both of those. I feel like they're interconnected. Like Luminous won't be able to grow as well without a tool like TrackStar. Like these connectors and these new era systems of record, they go hand in hand. Like we won't be able to grow without you guys.
I mean, could you imagine the fintech space existing without Plaid? Like how could Robinhood or Betterment or any of these companies have existed without the ability to connect to any bank?
In a lot of ways, I think that's probably one of the reasons why nobody's been able to take out NetSuite.
Yeah.
A mind-bogglingly massive list of integrations that you have to build. It's impossible.
When you guys look at how did Plaid monitor? Because I feel like is Plaid freemium?
It's per API
Like
call.
if a Plaid developer wants to just like spin up a new.
Yeah, I think they have some freemium model.
Like, is there a subset of like how many thousands of apps need to exist in this space, but they haven't because they're spending all their time building integrations?
It's a great question.
What's really cool is we see new companies getting built on the back of TrackStar because we make this data accessible. Like you said, Jared, integrations in general are a necessary evil. They aren't your core product. We get to make it so you get to focus on building your core cool functionality while we just focus on integrations. We're seeing a lot of new companies build really cool technology in the space, whether it's selling to warehouses or selling to brands, or you guys are a great example of that. Like you're building an ERP to take on NetSuite, and we're a small piece in making your life a little bit easier.
Have you guys ever done like a hackathon? I feel like if I was in college and it was like, here's this brand new thing. It's what Plaid used to be, and it's like just build the coolest app you can.
It's like a call for startups.
Yeah, we want to do it. Like YC is always like calling for startups.
Yeah.
We think we've had Daniel and I have had this habit of we don't want to be prescriptive with our customers, telling them what to build. We don't want to tell software companies you should build XYZ functionality in the space. Like it's your business, your product. Like you should do it. And we've started to notice people occasionally will lean on us. Like we were talking to someone who was building something similar to TrackStar V1, and Daniel are like, we know this isn't going to work. Like this monitoring thing won't work. But we're like, we know operations is a big pain. And they've ended up building that newer product, and they're growing like a weed, and it's really cool to see. And we were a little more prescriptive, and we're starting to become more prescriptive with customers within reason, because it's actually one of our YC group partners gave us this advice when Daniel and I were hesitant. He's like, you guys are experts. And I think it's taken me a while to realize, and now I say it confidently, like we're experts at WMS data. We're the best in the world at these integrations. Everyone should be using us. That's the reality. But it comes with like spending time in the territory and feeling really comfortable knowing this space better than anyone else.
Yeah, be prescriptive to us.
Yeah, this is a call for are you a startup out there? This is a call.
This is Plaid before Plaid was big.
I think being prescriptive to you guys is tough because, Brendan, you had this post on LinkedIn where you're talking about like getting to the root of customers' problems, right? Where it's customers asking for X, you're like, why are you asking for X? And then you actually understand it. That's a skill that you all have and honed, and it's why you've been able to grow so fast and build so effectively is you're listening to your customers, you're asking them, you've expanded your feature set and to based purely on what customers want. There's no real reason to be prescriptive to you guys, Connor.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing. You know, that's the truth. We see, like, you guys are a great operator, and we see it every day when we see connections come in and how fast or how active our Slack channel is.
You were saying this earlier. How many connections do we have across how many WMSs? Active connections.
For the unique number of distinct systems, I think you have 50 plus distinct systems.
That's awesome.
I don't know the total number. I don't want to make that up.
But when we first started, it was like we only had 2. I was like, I promise, guys, we're pushing the go-to-market.
Yeah,
It'll
no, there
catch
was
up,
never a
don't
doubt.
worry.
No, I mean, I think I think our first ever connection, our first ever prod connection to TrackStar was you, and I'm pretty sure it was an extensive connection. Like I look at our first dot in June of 2023 on our graph that has since gone like this.
That was us.
You were the first dot, and it was like slow, and now it's just. But yeah, you were the first dot.
I have to get this claim of fame in public. When we went live with them, they only had a React component. So their Angular component, the first commit is Brendan.
It is. And I was like, oh man, we can do an Angular component. Like, I already got it. I already made it.
How many active connections you guys have right now? You said over 100 or 70. What was it?
So we have 70.
WMS.
We have like 70 plus integrations in our library. We're approaching like 1,000 plus
Active
connections on our through our platform. So connection is when a merchant or a warehouse connects their system. That's a connection. So
we've been meaning to do this exercise, but there's billions of dollars worth of data flowing through TrackStar. The amount of scale is really cool to see where the graph is going like this, which is really nice, but there's tons of data flowing through those 1,000 connections.
That is so sick, actually. And is this like long future? You will have the entire e-commerce ecosystem flowing through your...
We do have a lot of information. And we're not doing anything with it besides serving it to you when you ask for it. But we do have a lot of order, inventory, returns, inbound, ASN, warehouse level data that we are just, providing when you ask for it from our API. But yeah, we have a lot of interesting info.
Yeah, candidly, no active thoughts on what we would do with that data in an anonymized, aggregated way.
Right.
But we're open to insights around it. But for now, it's just, again, focus. People ask, it's classic. We'll talk with VCs who are like, you have this data, you got to do something with it. Why don't you just focus on that? And we're like, well, if we asked all of our core customers what they want us to do, that wouldn't be it. So we just kind of put it to the side.
Route had that same thought, and they built like this data. It's like a shipment tracking app. Anyways, it's really difficult to find the use case.
It goes back to focus.
Focus. Exactly.
If you guys had infinite money, if you raised too much, you would have probably gone this route.
Probably would have tried.
We'd have some team spinning up trying to figure out how to use data with data scientists, which it's not inherently a bad thing, but it's not
making you a better company.
Exactly.
Is there any point in TrackStar's history that you guys had an aha moment?
I mean, I think it's the last couple months.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's just been a slow burn. Like the way YC describes product market fit is it kind of goes from, for so long, you're pushing a boulder uphill. Like as founders, you're pushing a boulder, trying to get things to work. And at some point you go from pushing the boulder to chasing the boulder downhill. And like, I think we're just starting to like chase the boulder. And I don't know when it happened. I don't think there was maybe you have a moment. To me, there wasn't a specific moment, but that's how it's starting to feel of like, hey, we figured there's something working here. Doesn't feel like we're pushing this boulder uphill as much as like we're now trying to stay up, with the boulder.
And I think the one learning is when we built this monitoring product, we didn't have product market fit and customers didn't love it. And one of the questions we asked when we were pivoting is, would you care if we disappeared? And people were like, not really. And what's been really reaffirming throughout this whole process of building TrackStar, the universal API, is we get really nice messages from customers in our Slack channel who like appreciate and love what we're doing. And it's you guys and other companies where we had one company who they're like, maybe we'll build in-house. And then they start using us, and 2 months later, they're like, the best decision we ever made was using TrackStar. We love you guys. How can we help you? The amount of customers who go like, how can we help you? And we're like, no, like we grow together. This is great. That helps both of us. That helped us along this journey of building these 70 integrations, feeling like there was confidence we were going the right direction. And now finally the boulder's starting to spin the other way.
That's really
right.
cool.
I'm sure as founders, you know that feeling of like you're trying to get the thing to work and it's months and months. And at some point you're like, oh no, I think this is working, and
it's so much of it feels like you put out a fire every day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like anything is going anywhere.
Yeah.
But then you've just done that for so long.
Yeah.
Everything kind of stacks on top of each other and it just works and things are running and
it's bricklaying.
Customers are live and you're like, holy crap, I didn't even know they're live.
Yeah, it's day by day. One funny thing is benefit of selling to software companies, they understand software.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like brands want 100% perfection from day one. And like giant enterprise companies, like the amount of times that HBO Max breaks on me is crazy. You guys understand that software is iterative and it's a growing process, which that's one benefit to selling to software.
You're one connection removed from the person being affected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We get the brunt of it.
Mm-hmm.
This Amazon order's not showing up.
Well, a big part of our product is our customer service and our support.
That is the best. I will get I know with any integration, there's going to be bugs. And it's like, we understand that. And it's like, hey, this is not in there. Sales orders is slightly off. Something's being missed. And within hours, you guys have it figured out. You've resynced it and they're live.
Yeah.
Like even thinking about having to do that internally would have been impossible.
My wife knows you as, you haven't done this in a while, but she knows you as the 5 p.m. on Friday Slack message. Because there were like a few times it'd be like Friday at 5 and you're like, hey, like, because I think that's maybe when you're like for a time, that's when you were like digging into TrackStar stuff. And you're like, hey, this is wrong. And I'm like, Friday at 5 p.m., Brendan coming right up. And it was very funny. But yeah.
But keep doing it. We love it.
Yeah, no, this is not a call to stop, but it's more, but again, like we know we're core infrastructure. And so it's, part of our product is responding quickly, at least saying, hey, we hear you, we're looking into it.
Well, and so much of it now is it just works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the number of issues, even across 70 connections.
Yeah.
Things are just working smoothly.
Yeah. It's benefit of, it's kind of the vision is you build this scalable infrastructure layer, and the keyword is scalable. The number of software companies we spoke with, a lot of people were believers. Some were like hopeful optimists. They'd say, I don't think you can normalize the data across WMS, but if you can, I'll be a buyer. But it's nice. We've done it. Like we feel like we've been able to normalize this data across these systems that everyone said was customized to hell, but is actually normalizable because it's inventory in a warehouse. That we see that scalable nature where you're adding connections and there are no problems. One of my favorite things is we have a little growth channel where we see when new connections get established. And our engineering team will even be like, those Luminous guys just keep adding connections. And we love it. We're like, it's like, I think you guys added TikTok, FBA, and Walmart today.
Yeah, so you must have
on our Uber ride
on our Uber ride here.
to meet you guys in person for the first time. Those three came in back to back, and we're like, this is incredible. We love that.
Yeah, you must have someone just onboarded a customer.
Someone closed something.
Yeah, these have been our busiest 2 months. I think we've onboarded. 15.
We've had a record with so we had our record sales November, December, and then
Record onboarding.
And
they're bigger customers, so they usually have like 4 or 5 connections.
We can tell.
Yeah.
Really cool that you guys had record sales in November, December. Was it hard to close deals year end when brands are like, it's Black Friday, it's holidays?
It was actually October, November, December. It definitely slows down. I don't know, for some reason, Q1 for us when we sell to brands, it slows down a ton. But I don't know what it is, but it's something in Q3 in the first month of Q4. It's like September, October, November. Those months, they're just massive for us. I don't know why.
Are they just feeling the pain more?
I guess so.
There's high stress.
I mean, there were so many customers that came in wanting to switch before their big Q4 rush.
Yeah.
We ended up saying no to a lot of them, but even then, like, we'll sell them and then we'll onboard them like next year.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing Jeremy was talking about was early on we had a lot of haters, like people that are like, you're not going to be able to do this. Like, you can't normalize all these systems, too many custom things, like too hard, blah, blah, blah. And we love, kind of prove them wrong. Do you have people that tell you you're not going to be able to like dethrone NetSuite? Like, do you get that? You're tackling something bigger than you can chew?
I actually get that feeling from VCs. All the VCs don't. I can just tell, like, I can just tell by looking at them.
Yeah. No, we got it from a lot of VCs too.
What's so funny about that is, isn't it like traditional VC wisdom is find an old, outdated incumbent who likes business model actually isn't great, and then it's a big market and you should bite off, like try to tackle that problem, right? Isn't that inherent? That's what they're supposed to be selling.
I could just tell when I don't know, when I pitch them, I tell them like, yeah, we're going after NetSuite. I can just tell they're like, yeah, but will you really? It's like,
it's happening.
It's a graveyard though. Like, how many you can just look and there's hundreds of companies that are going slightly that route. And I think internally we had to ask ourselves, like, what are we doing differently? Our eyes are open. We're looking around. There's 100 other companies trying to do something similar. What did they do wrong? Was something we had to ask ourselves a lot. Because it's,
Brendan.
I doubted.
Brendan.
I'm probably the biggest doubter.
Brendan asked the hardest question at the beginning, which I think really shaped our curiosity of the market and like how it grew, which is, we were sitting with like a couple million in the bank and like burned down to nothing. And Brendan's just like, but why don't we just resell Dynamics 365, Jared? Or like, why don't we just resell NetSuite?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why aren't we just doing that? Basically, like, are we just rebuilding NetSuite in the cloud? Like, no different. And I found being super critical of your idea, it just pushed us to understand the market and all of our competitors, everything that's happened, like the positive acquisitions, the bad acquisitions, the dead bodies. Like, I feel like we know so much about the space and we know where we have the best chance of succeeding.
It's like whenever I talk to VCs or anyone, it's like brutally honest about all the strengths and weaknesses of our business. And they're kind of the same thing. Our business is hard to build, right? Like, it's a hard thing to do. But I find being really critical of your own business and understanding all the levers you can pull or levers that can make you fail makes you a better operator when push comes to shove, because you know what you need to do to grow.
Yeah. Something interesting. I feel like when you're pitching VCs, I suck at pitching VCs because I'm too honest. And I'm very critical just naturally. And they want to hear that optimistic like story. But then, so you have to be that optimistic person when you go to pitch it, that sell that vision. But then internally, if you're that ignorant, happy vision, you're just going to execute poorly. You have to be like super critical internally.
Well, that's why companies die, is because they buy into their own VC hype. Like they buy into their fundraising hype, which isn't real hype. Which is a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a hard line to balance. When we were originally fundraising, we had some VCs who were like, we think you're sort of onto something, but you should build X in the integration space. And we're like, okay, we want to listen and digest all the info. And we're like, okay, what do you envision for X? Talk us through it. They're like, well, we talked to these large enterprises who want this iPaaS. We ended up talking to those enterprises and we asked the question that YC taught us. Yeah, well, if we built this for you, how much would you pay us? And all of them were like, yeah, it's not a big enough problem for me to pay for. And we're like, this is a crazy feedback loop.
It's almost like VCs aren't founders. Almost.
No, but But it's all about finding the right partner. Like Daniel and I say this all the time, and it's not to shout them out, but to shout them out. Our lead investor in our seed round is this supply chain focused fund called TMV. Incredible partner. Like we couldn't have asked for someone who was more aligned on the way we want to grow, our long-term mission and our vision. And it makes it like we get to our board meetings and our biweekly catch-ups, and it's like truly a joy to catch up with them, where it's not an adversarial relationship. It's like truly one of mutual benefit, and they've helped us grow. And like there is a time and place for venture capital, and when done well, it fuels really incredible companies building really incredible things. But Daniel and I easily could have picked the wrong partner, and we'd be having a different story with like a much more anxiety-inducing experience. But we found TMV, and we couldn't be happier.
Are you guys going to raise a Series A round, or are you just trying to get profitable there?
We'll eventually raise a Series A. For us, it's at profitability. Like it's the classic dynamic. Like when you don't need their money, all VCs want to give you money. But at profitability, we'll be able to just like pick our own destiny and make sure the terms are reasonable and we're not creating a zombie company and all these great things. And I think Daniel and I are starting to get more and more pull from existing customers around order sources and TMS and these other verticals in a really real way. We're getting messaging from people saying, can you build this? I really need this. So we're more confident in that digital backbone for supply chain. And I think that's what the Series A would drive. So the sequencing is get to profitability to control our own destiny, and then do a deeper market mapping of what the opportunity in those other verticals can look like. Because if we raise X money, we want to know here's where it's going to drive growth, not to your guys' point, oh, you have capital, let's just go spend it. So that's how we think about it. But it'll happen.
With you two, who tends to be, do you have somebody that's more critical and somebody that's like the optimist?
He's the optimist.
Yeah.
He's the eternal optimist. But I'm an engineer. Like that, you can't, it's the same thing of like, I see the sausage. Yeah.
Part of it is, and we talked about it, like founders need to be the right balance of optimistic. Like we're all doing this because we think our companies are going to succeed, even though statistically speaking, they won't. But at the same time, if you have enough doubts, you're willing to be self-critical and like identify the weaknesses in your business so you can make sure you do grow successfully. It's a weird line. I think Daniel and I are very realist. We were catching up with like our legal counsel once, who's a friend, and he was saying, he's like, you guys are very thoughtful and methodical, and you want to build like a sustainable company. It's not always the founder template he sees, but I think we're all cut from the same cloth to some extent.
Well, awesome. You said you guys are going to start content pretty soon. Where can people find you? Are you guys going to start a podcast or just educational videos or just?
I don't know if we're going to start a podcast, but we've done no marketing. Like our entire customer base has pretty much come from word of mouth. I mean, I think entirely word of mouth. I'm trying to think. So we've been pretty under the radar. People in the industry know of us, but it's all, again, through word of mouth. And so we're going to start propelling that word of mouth by creating some of that word of mouth ourselves. So we're going to start, posting on LinkedIn. We're going to spin up our blog, start doing case studies, go on to podcasts like this where applicable, but just kind of create some of this content engine, and so more people know about us and know they can build on us.
Good plug we should all do a case study.
We haven't done a case study.
But to answer, people can find us at trackstarhq.com. And then also we're always available. I think it's part of the support is anyone can ping us anytime, schedule a meeting, and we'll tell them the benefits of universal APIs.
Yes. I'll link your socials.
It's great to see truly long-time friends.
Yeah, it's our first time meeting
in person.
It's been 2 years.
It makes it more fun when you're building with people you like building with. It's been a joy to work with you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Well, thanks.
Cool.
Awesome.